The reasons for violence during election campaign are multifaceted. Number one, the recklessness of some politicians. Naturally, average politician has this natural optimism to win an election, even when it is apparent to him that he doesn't have the size of followership to win that election. Then the next thing he will resort to is to anticipate violence, to achieve victory by violence, and that is what is called inordinate ambition. So note it, inordinate ambition of politicians can induce violence during election. Number two, everything comes from politicians anyway. Some politicians may want to seek vendetta. He didn't support me yesterday, I'm gonna have to go and attack him today. And that is coming basically from lack of integrity on the part of some politicians. Do you know there are some politicians who are supposed to bury their faces in shame? They are seeking to govern, but they don't have the program to execute. They just discuss politics. They don't discuss governance because they don't know how to go about governance. So there is no politician that want to go out to the field of polls with the foreknowledge or acceptance to go and fail. So he would rather put everything at his disposal. Then also on the polling day, some politicians will have planned to rig election. It is not in every situation or every point of voting that a party will be prominent. You can be prominent here, and that is when you have a large followership size to earn you the prospect of winning at this polling booth. You may not have such in the other polling booth, and that may constitute electoral deficit for you. So in that way, some reckless politicians who are rapacious will want to find a way of appropriating the site that they don't have the strength to ensure that they win the area. So they will resort to deploying people to kidnap ballot boxes, to go and steal INEC registers, and so on and so forth. And this will be resisted by the agents of other parties. So that scenario must bring about violence. Another reason for electoral violence is joblessness on the part of youths. There are some youths in the society that are jobless. They become ready instruments of violence in the hands of politicians. These are people who lack the right education to build up even their own lives. So they don't know, they are susceptible. So at the call and beck of any politician, they are there for a meager to go and carry out the evil. So people will not oftentimes understand why they are being drafted. He doesn't mind to fail on the mission that he has been sent, as long as his daily bread is assured through that criminal means. So we have implicated politicians here. We have also implicated jobless youth. But let's come on again. There are some media organizations that are already persistent. They sound so defiant to the rule that they, if all they care, go ahead to report falsified facts, distorted facts, to distort facts themselves. In other words, they can, if they care, confuse the audience with wrong resource of the election. And this is going to be, in Nigeria today, people are so sensitive, they have become so sensitive to their political destinies in such a way that they are ready to monitor it till the end. So if you are a media organization and you carry a wrong effect of result different from what they poll, that means you are inviting violence. And that is why you now notice that in the past it has happened when people will go and start burning media organizations. Do you understand? Now we have politicians, youths, and the media, the security agents too, all those critical institutions in the electoral law of our country are liable in the criminality of electoral violence, because we have seen cases in Nigeria where security agents had in the past aided electoral malpractices, where some of them became allies of political actors. They worked together with some politicians and acted the script of that politician as their lord. So when the chips are now down, the volatile community will have to react. So it's also part of the reason for the occasioning of electoral violence. Yes, election campaigns should be violence-free. One, politicians should base their campaigns on issues, not sentiments of anything, not on discrimination, not by abusing fellow contestants, not by intending to compromise electoral victory. So we should make our campaign to be object-based. We should seek to carry our audience along by providing attractive promises. Then the youth on the other part should note that their lives are at stake by not thinking checking of the quality of people they want to elect into offices, especially youth this time. Then the followers too must be able to have a rethink, to understand the purpose for electing a candidate. Is it for this immediate gain or for future advantage? So you have to be able to choose in between the two. So if the electorates and that education of voting, they will be able to stimulate a choice which can abate electoral violence.
In Nigeria of today, we need peace more than ever before. If you consider the election that we've been having all these past years, some are full of blood, some are laced with a lot of violent activities. But this time around, we are praying that it will be issue-free. The Nigeria, as you know, is a complex nation. A nation that comprises of all that has to do with multiple ethnic groups. We have the dominant ethnic group, we have the minor one. But regardless of that, for a candidate to emerge, first and foremost, supposed to be a consensus of all these three ethnic diversity in Nigeria. The first thing that could cause violence is when an ethnic group thought that they have been cheated, that it's supposed to be their turn to nominate, but contrary happened, maybe for one thing or the other. A candidate is being forced on them. So there is nothing that is going to happen at that type of election that will not breed violence. So a situation where people are not satisfied with a candidate that is coming up that might emerge as the overall boss or overall president or governor or whatsoever. A situation where that is not a candidate representing the interest of the whole, then that can prove a problem. And when problem arises, only God knows what will be the aftermath. So a candidate that is not agreed upon, that is not a consensus candidate, can snowball into crisis. So to avert that, during manifesto or during campaign, people need to be pacified. People need to be at least educated on the reason why they should vote for a particular candidate. Not only that, not only the issue of candidate. Another important area is vote buying. This is campaign period when each candidate is expected to tell people whatever agenda they have for them. During election, manipulating people, the electorate, could snowball into crisis. Don't forget the previous election that we have had in this country. Don't forget a lot of insinuations, a lot of allegations here and there. People alleging each other of vote buying, of snatching, of rigging, and some other atrocities during election. So another thing that could cause crisis is this vote buying and rigging. So I know all those things are characteristics of good electoral system, but at the same time we have to be very careful on how we handle it, on how we do it, so that people's will can be respected, so that it will not degenerate into killings, injuries, and eventually deaths. Then this one is a minor one, but at the same time we have to say it during election. People's will must be protected. We need to be transparent. We need to be objective, especially transparency during election. Let all interests be represented. Without that, we are just calling for crisis. Serious one, violent. So that's just that. In journalism, what you are talking about, we call it name calling. When the opposition is talking ill of another one, negative utterances about another one, where we cannot rule that one out, is part of electoral system. All election is characterized by calling each other different names. If I'm vying for the post of president and you are vying for the post of presidency, I can call you cheater, so as to disabuse, so as to manipulate people, so that to influence people from, at least to make them vote for me instead of you. The aim, the goals of every election is to win. So name calling is a form of propaganda being used in an election system in order to canvass for votes. Name calling, hate speech, using different kinds of poetic devices to, at least to bring an opponent down. They are all characteristics of election, but it must be done with all sense of maturity, so as not to destabilize the country.
Either during or after or before. You see, I can say that most of our politicians have not learned their lessons. They are ignorant of the electoral law, 2, 3, and they believe that politics is a matter of do or die. Because they've turned politics to business, and they believe that whoever invests in business must make profit. Whereas it is not so. Gone are the days when party politics, political parties are supreme. Obviously, the supremacy of the political party has been hijacked mostly by contestants, and this is unfair, this is unfortunate. Then you will not know who was being voted for. Then you hold the party in supreme. You are voting, you are there, you are voting for the party, for the symbol of the party, irrespective of where it comes from. Then they used to fund the political parties through the wards and local government. Every member of the ward will make his own contribution, 3 pence, 1 shilling, 2.5 shillings, depending on how viable you are. That qualifies your children from being chosen based on transparency and honesty to contest election. But now that money is the issue in the election, most contestants believe that they are sinking money into campaign, they must reap it back. And they believe that the best way to do that is to destroy the opposition, is to maim the opposition, is to silence the opposition. Most of them don't know what their party manifestos look like. Well, 2, poverty. There is actually poverty in the society. And because of poverty, we have the advent of unemployment. And most youths have turned to drugs for psychological relief. And the only way for them to sustain is to tie them to the apron strings of political katawalas who will be moving about, say, vote for me. So those ones believe that it is a do or die. Those who are sponsoring them, who are funding them, must get to power. Because if they don't get to power, then their means of livelihood is gone, which is thuggery. Then the lapses on the part of the security agents. In Nigeria, you have a lot of people smoking and taking drugs. Some with security agents either joining them or not doing their jobs correctly. And even when they believe that whatever they do, whatever crime they commit, they have godfathers that can easily free them. So if we believe that politics is like any other game, you don't have to kill anybody, you don't have to go and borrow from any bank anywhere to contest the election, it's not a matter of do or die, and the youths are gainfully employed, and the society is able to curb security orders, and the electorals are well informed, and the security agents do their job. I can assure you that it will be curbed